What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. I think the Clippers did right by re-signing Robert Covington. You know, he's a really good player in regards to both sides of the floor. Definitely has a high IQ for the game on both sides of the floor. And I feel like he's one of those players that's hard to replace on a team, especially if you look at a team that's trying to win a championship. I feel like he can definitely be a part of that because he definitely has, good locker room presence. He definitely always seemed like the type of player that, wants to build and learn to become better, but also be a better man. I think he was one of the players along with Kevin Love, I think one time speaking about, mental health issues and things like that. And, to see him come a long way and, sustain in the NBA and keep his mind right, keep everything going, becoming the player that, he is or what he's going to become, I think is definitely a special thing, especially when you hear players or any type of athlete or anybody in the world going through something like that or anything close to that. It's good to see them, get their reward. And I feel like the Clippers were definitely impressed with this guy. I feel like the Clippers made the right decision in, re-signing him. I think they were definitely impressed what they saw from him in just a short amount of time. And I definitely hope that he stays healthy with the Clippers and help them in their journey and win a championship. Of course, when you look at a player like Robert Covington, you don't really need to look at the numbers. He only averaged maybe like 7.6 points a game, 5.7 rebounds per game this past season. But I mean, a lot of that was with the Portland Trail Blazers, which, that's basically, not a team going too far right now, especially since they lost C.J. McCollum and, without Damian Lillard most of the season. But even still, Robert Covington is not a numbers guy. He's an in-between the lines guy. So when you look at Robert Covington and you see what he's able to do on both ends of the floor, you really appreciate what he can do. Now, he only shot 38% from the field this season, but I think that'll definitely go up with the Clippers because I think he'll have more high-quality shots and he'll have more wide-open shots, especially with the return of Kawhi Leonard and PG. But I definitely see his value, and I know a lot of other people see his value. Clipper Nation see his value. And a lot of people in the NBA see his value. He's definitely one of those players who can, impact the game, especially like if you're down and, a team is making a run. He can make some big defensive plays that can change it and knock down big threes as well. And I definitely like, what he brings to the Clippers. And I think, of course, they like it, too, where they signed him to a 2-year, they signed him to a $24 million contract and gave him an opportunity to extend his time there. And just so they can try to win a championship. And I definitely think that he can definitely be a part of that. Now, in saying that, hopefully them giving him that contract, hopefully they don't let go of Nicholas Batum, because you know how much I like Nicholas Batum. But at the same time, it is what it is. It's a business, and, they got to make the right moves for their organization and what they're trying to accomplish. And I definitely respect that, however it goes. But at the same time, hopefully they keep everybody. Ty Lue said he wanted to keep the whole crew, and run it back at least one more time, because they didn't have the opportunity to play together because it's always been injuries with this team ever since they assembled, a couple years ago, I should say 4 seasons ago now, going into next season, 4 seasons ago. They haven't been able to accomplish the ultimate goal, which is win a championship. And, adding Robert Covington and Norman Powell can definitely better your chances. But ultimately, they got to stay healthy as a team. As a team, they've always been hurt. The first year, Kawhi was there. PG was out with shoulder surgery, came back in the bubble. PG wasn't right. Kawhi did everything he could. He ran out of gas. They imploded in the bubble. They come out the next season. Then we had a situation. What was it? Year before this past, I should say. They got to the second round in Utah. Kawhi go down with the ACL. Another blow to the team. They get to the conference finals. They lose this year. They didn't have Kawhi all season. Paul George goes out for a while, missed about 40 games or so. And they go into the play-in tournament. They lose both play-in tournament games. Should have won the first one, but, they didn't. Then Paul George ends up with COVID against the Pelicans, and they find themselves out of the playoffs. Or out of the play-in tournament, not making it to the playoffs. So, everything seems to just go wrong for this team at the wrong time. But hopefully, hopefully this year this upcoming year, it finally trickles and it finally goes right for them, because they definitely need a break and they definitely need that sigh of relief. If you ask me, this team is really, really destined to do some great things. And even though a lot of people out there may not believe in this team, because the notion is always going to be the same. The clips are going to clip, and they're never going to, exceed that boundary of, just being a good team. They're always going to be looked at as a good team or a contender, but they won't never actually go through with it and do it and win it all. And hopefully this year is the year that this upcoming year, is the year that they break that, because they definitely have the talent to do it. They definitely have the pieces to do it. I feel like they can use a good backup point guard, and maybe, like I said before in my previous videos, like, a backup big man or something like that, somebody that contribute on the back end, but at the same time, ultimately, even with the team they have, I think they're good enough to win it. It might be a little difficult, but I still think that ultimately they can get the job done. Because if you look at the situation of year before last, where Kawhi goes down in the second round against Utah, they still made it to the conference finals against the Phoenix Suns. You see what I'm saying? So ultimately, they have the team that can do it. But I mean, like I said, it's tougher when you don't have that point guard to anchor and to settle down the offense. It's tougher when you're asking Kawhi and PG to average 5-6 assists a game, when that's not really what they do. It makes it a little bit tougher when you have those things. And a lot of people may say also Zubac's development hasn't reached its potential, which kind of holds them back a little bit as well. So I mean, when you look at all that, it's in totality, and you have players that I hear a lot of Clippers fans be on my other social media platforms telling me how they really just don't want Marcus Morris on the team no more because of his inconsistencies and things like that. When you have those things happening, all that plays an effect when you're trying to win. So I'm saying, like, everything just needs to go right for the Clippers, and I believe this is the year that it can. It just, hopefully it has to, because this is to me, I said before, their window of opportunity of winning a championship is closing. And after this next year, I mean, a lot can change with this team. I'm talking roster wise, if they don't win the championship, or if they don't at least make the finals. So, I mean, like I said, signing Robert Covington is definitely a good, a good thing to do, because you're ensuring that you're keeping a good defensive player like him, who can definitely, shake things up, because it gives you more versatility. And that's what the Clippers are really built on. They're built on versatility. Kawhi can guard the position 1 through 5. PG probably can as well. So could Nicholas Batum, or especially at one point he could. I still really believe he can now. And Robert Covington can. So, I mean, it's like when you look at their versatility on defense, that's going to make them a weapon alone, a huge, undeniable weapon that a lot of teams won't be able to deal with. And then you add their offense, where they've been the #1 3-point shooting team the last, 2 out of the last 4 years, or 3 out of the last 4 years at least. At least 2, I should say. So 2 out of the last 4 years they've been together. So, I mean, they're definitely very equipped to do some good things, and definitely very equipped to win the championship. No doubt about it. So I would like to see this team get ahead and get that championship and get that monkey off their back, because they definitely, got the pieces to do it. And with Kawhi being Kawhi, if he comes back the way he's supposed to, and the way I feel like he will, and dominate the way he can, I don't see no team stepping in their way. I mean, I like Memphis. They're too young, though. I like, other teams in the West are good, the Suns and all them, but they can't compete with the Clippers if they're healthy. Let's just keep it plain and simple. They can't do that, because they're just really not. I mean, they're good enough. I'm not going to say they're not good enough, but the Clippers are just too deep. And like I said, every team you look at in the playoffs right now in the Western Conference, Kawhi Leonard would be the best player on the floor if he chose to be. Because when Kawhi really decides to lock down and really decide to put the clamps on a player and really decide to go out there and dominate, can't nobody stop that. And, they try to say the same thing. They tried to say that about in a couple years ago, when Luka played against, the Clippers. And you even hear yesterday on Undisputed, Shannon talking about, oh, well, Luka gave Paul George and Kawhi Leonard the business. Yeah, but, it's just, Shannon Sharp being a hater, because ultimately, like Skip said, yeah, he scored all them points against them. But when when Kawhi decided to guard him for real and really start playing, who won the series? Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. You see what I'm saying? So this is my point. Nobody in the West scares the Clippers. Nobody in the West is a better player to me than Kawhi Leonard. And I don't care what nobody says. Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the Western Conference. So any team they play in a 7-game series, if he's healthy, the Clippers can definitely win because nobody in the West is better. I wouldn't take nobody in the West. I wouldn't take nobody in the NBA over Kawhi Leonard, me personally, but I wouldn't take nobody in the West over Kawhi Leonard dominant-wise. His mentality, everything speaks for itself. And, if he's on the floor, it's only going to rub off on the rest of his teammates. And that's just the way it is. And I know Shannon and a lot of others don't want the Clippers to win a championship, but having pieces like Robert Covington, Norman Powell, those other guys makes a difference. Shaq says it all the time on TNT. The other guys is the ones that really make the championship team. You can have the superstars. The superstars are going to do what they do. They're unstoppable. They are who they are. They're going to get their points. But those other guys make championship teams go, because if they're able to be effective along with the superstar, now you got problems. And when you think about that logic, the Clippers are the most equipped team in the NBA, because when you look at their situation, who's more equipped than they are as a team, as a unit? Nobody. Because their role players got so much experience now because of Kawhi and PG being out due to injury. They're comfortable in their own skin going out there on a big stage, playoffs, any point in time, and go out there and deliver. They've shown it all this season. The only thing that held the Clippers back was injuries. And I personally believe they would have beat the Pelicans if Luke Kennard played, because Luke Kennard is one of their unsung heroes throughout this past season. So if he played against either the Timberwolves or the Pelicans, the Clippers would be in the playoffs right now, if you ask me. So, they're definitely the team to beat. They're definitely the most scariest team in the NBA going forward next season, and adding pieces and re-signing pieces like Robert Covington and, having Norman Powell, still having Nicholas Batum. You still got, Kawhi and PG, of course, the main two cogs. And then on top of that, you got the mind of Ty Lue, who likes to experiment, but also knows how to get the best out of any player on his roster. And he does it with, exceptional grace. He makes mistakes. Don't get me wrong. He's human. But at the same time, overall, he's got this team going. You know what I'm saying? And this team has got a lot going for themselves if they can stay healthy. So as Clippers Nation, you hope they stay healthy. Glad they signed Robert Covington. Hopefully, they keep everybody, for the most part, and come back pretty much the same team they were. Maybe, like I said, add a backup point guard or something like that. But other than that, this team is stacked. And I really would like to see them healthy next year and see what everybody has to say at the end of the season. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section as always. And hey, Khaliis out.